Some students sometimes find it hard to deal with the cover stitcher. The main thing we need to be aware of is there is no back tack button on the cover stitcher. That means when we start and finish sewing, our stitches need to overlap by 3 or 4 stitches to secure the hem in place. To use the cover stitcher, first of all you need to figure out which way the flywheel rolls. In this machine the flywheel rolls away from you. We need to know this because to insert and remove our fabric, the needles need to be in the highest position possible. So let's see how we use this machine. Because we want to cover stitch on the right side of the fabric, the easiest way to approach this is to turn our garment inside out. So I'm going to show you how we're going to cover stitch around a leg hem. The cover stitch has 2 pedals, and not all cover stitches are the same, but generally the right pedal will lift the presser foot up to enable you to put your fabric underneath. So using your right leg, press down on the right pedal to raise the presser foot, put your garment into the machine and line it up with where you want to start from. Now this is a leg, so I'm going to start from the inseam line because the line of stitching will be more invisible there. When we're sewing our cover stitch, we want to make sure that the left needle is just to the left or off of our raw edge, and the right needle of course will be on the double layer of thread. All we need to do is line up our fabric in the correct place according to our hem allowance. And this garment has a 2 centimetre, which is 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. And just fiddle around with that until you get this in the correct place. Making sure, as I said, that that left needle, when it stitches, will be just on the edge of the raw line here. So making sure your machine is turned on, gently press with the left pedal and start sewing. You'll need to stop every so often and readjust your work and just check that you're using and stitching the same seam allowance as you go through. Now there are no seam allowance guides on this machine. Some machines do have them. And when you reach the end, just overrun your stitching by 3 or 4 stitches. Now as you see, the needles have stopped down in your work. Now this machine, the flywheel rolls away from us. So what we need to do is turn this flywheel until the needles reach the highest position. And you'll know this because if you go too far, it will start coming down again. When those needles are in the highest position, using your right presser foot, lift up, and before you do anything else, gently karate chop these threads here to create less tension on the threads, and move your work directly away from you, being careful not to snap any of the threads. Making sure you've got a nice tail, using your thread snips, snip the excess off. This is what we want the underside of our work to look like. This is the left needle position. As you can tell, it's just on the edge of the raw edge, and the right needle is over here. And there's an equivalent overlocking stitch in between the two.